Hi, this is Lindsay Wagner, and you've probably seen me as the Bionic Woman and many other things. But today is going to be fun because I'm with Todd Wharton on FaceTime with Todd Wharton. So check it out.
What up, guys? This is JimmyBoy, and you are watching FaceTime with Todd Wharton.
From Times Square in New York City, it's FaceTime with Todd Wharton. With special guest, Lindsay Wagner. And musical guest, JimmyBoy. And now, here is your host, Todd Wharton.
So welcome to Season 6, Episode 2 of FaceTime with Todd Wharton. I'm your man, your host, Todd Wharton, and this episode is all about 50 years celebrating the iconic Bionic Woman. And speaking of Bionic Woman, I think I can make a pretty good superhero, especially as a Bionic Man. Now, I wonder what that would look like.
We have the capability to make the world's first Bionic Man. We'll be that man. Better, stronger, faster.
We have a great show for you guys tonight. Emmy Award-winning actress who's here to celebrate 50 years of her role as Jaime Sommers in the iconic TV drama series The Bionic Woman. My girl Lindsay Wagner's in the house. And then later on, Latin recording artist who could be seen in this year's 2026 Governor's Ball. That's right, my man JimmyBoy is going to be here performing his hit song, Playa, Escondida, right here, FaceTime with Todd Wharton. So guys, stick around, and we'll be right back after these messages. FaceTime with Todd Wharton is proudly sponsored by Fix Your Fungal Nail by Fix Your Feet Products, formulated by podiatric surgeon Dr. Yolanda Ragland to clear nails of fungal infection. For more information, go to fixyourfeetproducts.com. And by Sharp Lens Photography, capturing excellence since 2011. For more information, go to sharplensnyc.com. So welcome back to the show, everyone. So my guest tonight is an Emmy Award-winning actress. You guys all know her as the role as Jaime Sommers in the iconic TV series that's celebrating 50 years. That's right, The Bionic Woman, and I'm excited to speak to her. Guys, please welcome to the show my girl, Lindsay Wagner. Lindsay, how you doing today?
Thank you for having me. Great.
Oh, it's an honor to have you. You've been doing so many interviews since the 50th anniversary. Everybody, I'm sure, has been DMing you, calling your publicist. But I got to ask you, before we get into everything else, just a quick question. How does it feel that 50 years later, it feels like yesterday that the Bionic Woman has become a household name?
Yeah, it's like, it's actually, I'm experiencing it similar to how I've experienced Lindsay Wagner getting to be 50, Lindsay Wagner getting to be 60, Lindsay Wagner going into the next one. I mean, it's odd. It doesn't feel like it, except on certain days. But it's been an interesting experience, and especially I have so many people coming up right in my face. 50 years, right? 50 years. It doesn't seem like 50 years. That's right. And they say, that makes me feel old. Now, these are the ones that were children when I was doing it. And then they tell me that this makes them feel old. So it's been fun. It's actually been fun.
Well, it's 50 years old of the show, but you're 50 years young. We'll put it that way, okay? Because you obviously keep yourself in shape. I know you're big and holistic, keeping your body right, your mentality right. Let's quickly get into that. I know you worked out a partnership with the LA Sheriff's Department and you're giving back to the community. What made you decide, like, mental stability, not only in women and men, are very important to a sustainable life?
Because it's what I had to give. I mean, I have an ability, obviously, for acting, and did since I was young. At least that's what everybody tells me, and they keep hiring me, so I guess it's true. But it was my journey, my own journey. Had a lot of issues growing up with family and stuff like that. And so when I was 18, 19, I had a whole ulcer attack thing, which is supposed to be for 50-year-old businessmen who had too much stress all their life, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah, but it happened, and by the grace, my boyfriend's mother was the personal secretary to a Dr. William Hornaday, who was he was a minister and a doctor, whatever, psychology and all that, and she brought me into that circle of a for that it was their church, their religion, that it was body, mind, and spirit. They were Christian, they had very similar beliefs to the Christian, but they also felt that we had to be involved in our own wellness, in our own healing, in our own joy. And so that's how they taught. And so he was he brought in a doctor friend of his who had clinics around the world. He was a major doctor, and Dr. Omar Fareed, and he so the two of them kind of put me through a little training course of how to see myself, the divine, and our integration, our how we are involved. So as he used to say, if you keep holding this resentment, this isn't my case, but it's one that he would use as an example. If you keep holding this hatred for your brother, you can pray, God, heal me all you want, but you're fighting the ability for the divine, however you see that. If you see it as Jesus, if you see it as the consciousness of life itself, or whatever your understanding of where the greater source is coming from, it's still, you need to be on the boat with them. You need, because you're preaching forgiveness, you're preaching love, you're preaching all these things, and yet you're holding that. So you're saying, okay, you can have all of that, but this. And so in applying that to my own life and looking, because I don't understand how you're telling me my sickness is that I'm participating in that. I don't get it. I mean, I grew up the way I grew up with what was going on, and it just, my reaction to that psychologically caused physical problems. And eventually what I had to do was write an autobiography. I said, well, about what? No, about every single memory you can think of having, just right. So I had this long job to do. Well, I was all of 19, so it wasn't that big. Thank God I didn't have to do it today. But, and then they had me write another thing when I was finished with that. Every time I could ever remember being sick, and times that I would have these stomach pains, because being a kid, I'd had these pains for years. But every time you go to the doctor, he said, oh, it's just gastritis, eat crackers and drink. That was the answer, because you're too young. I said, I think I might have an ulcer. And they said, you can't, you're too young to have an ulcer. And I said, but on Marcus Welby, they said, and he said, you know who that is? Are you old enough to know who that is?
I am old enough to know who that is. I have a young face, but I'm older than what you think. So yes.
Okay. So anyway, they said, yeah, well, that's TV. You're still too young. So, okay. And of course, then by the time I was 19, I was collapsed on the floor, and they took me to the hospital, and turns out I had an ulcer. So they were showing me, the doctor had me write, and he held the autobiography and the chronology of illness, any illness that I could remember that my family could help me fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
You could see what was going on in my life and when I got sick, what was going on in my life and when I got sick. And so clear. And I finally got it. And so that was the beginning of my interest and passion for healing, because they kept me from having the surgery, which was the answer back then. Answer to it. Today they have other things that they do, but and I was in UCLA hospital, so they took me out, and this doctor put me under just his care for maintaining my situation, and they taught me meditation, and they taught me to integrate meditation with visualization to see myself completely healed, to feel myself relaxed in certain situations that reminded my body and my memory of um, what went on and what made me tighten up. Just because somebody else, you get triggers for when you're growing up. You get those programs, and then you meet some triggers that no fault of their own, and it's nothing to related, but your body still has a memory until you heal.
Oh yeah. I mean, the reason why I'm bringing all this up, to be honest with you, is back in the 70s and 80s, growing up, especially in LA, especially in Hollywood, you've been told, not just you, but just everybody, that there are certain things you can't talk about, certain things you can't do. Your image is everything, blah, 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 blah. Today, I think it's an open book where people are accepted to talk about everything that they're going through, which I think is so much better, especially a relief for actors and actresses, because people forget that celebrities are human, right? They forget about that, especially ones that portray a superhero, right? People forget that at the end of the day, whether it's Superman, Bionic Woman, Iron Man, whatever, the person portraying that character is still a human at the end of the day. And I bring this up a lot of times with my guests because you had more of a struggle back then than a lot of actors do today. I mean, they can go online today and talk about it, and they're more open to doing it. But back in the day, you were kind of held back from telling people, because if you told people you're going through something mentally or physically, it really relates to, well, am I going to get the next role, which is so sad. And that's why I'm bringing this out now, because being an icon in TV, which you're known as the queen of TV movies, right? But people don't understand, to become that entity, there are a lot of troubles, trials, and tribulations that you're going through that people weren't aware of. And I'm glad to hear, and I'm glad to see that you're being more open about it today. Even though you were taking care of yourself back, I think you were allowed more to talk about it. I think you at Lindsay Wagner would be so much more relatable from back then till now. And I'm glad they're coming out with it now, where people understand, like, wow, this woman is such a bionic woman inside and out for 50 years, not just on screen, but off screen, and what she's gone through. She's my superhero.
You got to remember, I was working constantly.
Yeah.
So I didn't have, I had a passion for helping others, but it would happen in the course of my living.
Yeah.
So I had the time to have, if you will, a really active passion where you go out, which I've done a lot of, older than the Bionic Woman, because I was pretty young when I did that.
Yeah, you were. I mean, Bionic Woman, incredible series. Let's dive right into that, because I know a lot of my fans and your fans gonna want to talk about that 50-year anniversary, staying the test of time. I mean, you started out in a character that was the girlfriend of Steve Austin, got killed off in episode 2, and tell me about your feeling when you knew it was more of a cameo role because you were playing the girlfriend of a lead, and then when you got killed off, what was your feeling when the crowd around the world, when your fans like, hey, we love this character, you have to bring it back somehow. And then the wheels started churning and you got that call like, hey, Lindsay, we loved your character. The fans loved your character. How would you like to play Bionic Woman and have your own show? What was that call about, and what was you feeling when you got that?
It was probably not what you think or what most people would think, in that I was concerned because I was wanting to, my passion in the business at that time, if I could identify the passion, would be knowing that this is something that is a way to communicate with a lot of people. Where what we were just talking about came, that's how I did it. I said, we're talking with kids, and if I can have some rights in this to collaborate with develop the character and what kinds of situations she gets in and how she responds to them, I'd be interested in doing it because of my beliefs about us being so much more, us meaning we humans, are so much more than we have the idea that we are. And we are capable of so much more. and we're not just this little physical thing that goes and does things. And when we need help, oh yeah, God, come help me or something or whatever. We're an amazing being, and we do have the power. I basically healed myself. The point I was making it on that one was that when he put me in the hospital, he never gave me medicines or surgery or any of that. They taught me how to do that, see myself healed, and put me on a very strict diet for 6 weeks. I mean, literally, I was living on skim milk and water, and for many weeks. And so, don't try this, anybody, without your doctor.
I'm Italian, so I'm hearing milk, and I'm like, we used to coat everything. That's what we use milk for. We coat everything with milk, get a little breading on it. But if somebody told me I'd eat just milk and water, I'd be like, I'm definitely not going to be a bionic man. I would be kind of like the bionic man down, because I'd be laying on the ground all day. That wouldn't even happen with me.
Yeah, no, well, I was laying on the ground. That's the problem. And so they wanted the stomach to reset itself. He gave me zucchini juice was my option to milk, but I was an old-fashioned girl with Kansas background, in my family anyway. So of course I went for zucchini there, and now I would pick the zucchini. But in any case, it was just something to keep my stomach alkaline and whatever. Till people go on fasts with less than that, you know.
Yeah.
The point being is that I experienced it heal little by little by little, doing all of it, the mental, the visual, the seeing that I have some genuine say of what happens in my future by the choice, by the things I say, by how I hold my own image, forgiveness, all that kind of stuff. You know, that was, and in 6 weeks I had nothing. I had nothing. And I was fine after that. But what I did notice was that every once in a while, when I get a little out of center or whatever, I'd start to have just a little pang in my stomach. And it's like, okay, what am I doing? What are old habits doing again? That's what I was saying to Kenny, and they agreed. And I said, okay, so that's why I agreed to do the story.
I love it. Were you a part of the writing team when you were writing the series and the show? Because it sounds like you were really deep into this character. Like, you wanted to become the character that you felt that as a powerful woman that I think you would want people to see. Were you in those meetings with the writers? Like, no, I don't like that. Could we do it this way? So when you jump into the role, was that a big thing for you when you were going into this character?
Absolutely. But I didn't, my relationship was with Kenny Johnson. And I had a relationship with the writers, but you know, he was very involved and very what do they call it, helicopter dad about JD. And so he would sit with me every time they'd get a script ready and involved. We would sit together and we'd go over it, and literally he would read we'd read it together. We'd do a reading together, read all the characters, and I'd read Jamie, of course, and then I would give him my responses to what was there for me to play. Like, this one worked. Let me try this. So we did hone each script together. And then eventually by doing that, he learned what I was looking for, because I always said I didn't want to play a superhero. I didn't want to play a guy in a skirt. It was so I wanted it to be female. I wanted to come up with a takeaway to be, because she's a woman, she instinctively knows that strength and sensitivity can go in the same person, whether you're male or female. Although she was female, but it gave us, her being a female gave us the right, so to speak, to put that together in being a powerful person, can take care of problems, can make decisions. So there's times when she would make decisions that that would be different than a man, or at least even delayed and try this first because I can, instead of just going, I know I can beat this guy, so boom, and then, case gone, case over. So that's where a lot of humor came into the show. That's why Kenny was saying, but our formula, we had a formula. Most shows have dictation, between each set of commercials. So the formula was that we had to have, I think, 4 bionic actions or 3 or something like that between each commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but if we just, it got too physically confrontive if we had to do that in action ways, and I didn't want to do that. So he started writing, like, can't find my can opener, so I'm opening the can with my fingernail, or things like ripping the phone book or whatever, that kind of stuff. And that's kind of how that development came about, but also how she responded to a bad guy. So oftentimes she'd look for what was good in that person and try to encourage that and try to help the situation resolve better, like maybe a mother would with kids that are fighting.
Yeah, I love it. Now you sustained 58 episodes, which is great. I believe you had 3 crossover episodes you did. You also had a bunch of films that you did with this. How was your camaraderie relationship to work with Lee Majors as well? And the reason why I know you worked with him, and because you worked with him, is because your sister Randy was a huge fan of Lee Majors, and you gave her the best birthday gift in the world. You decided, I am going to play Jaime Sommers for you. And probably in the back of your head, like, I need you to listen to me. I'm taking on this role, which means every year on my birthday, I want the gifts to get bigger and better and better. And every time you see me on TV, knowing that I'm doing this for you, I love you. You're my baby sis. If I get canceled, it's your fault. That's it. But tell me about that, because I'm a huge family person and I love my little brother, my older brother. We look out for each other all the time. The biggest part that I love about you is this story right here, what we're talking about. You took on this role because your sister loved the character of Lee Majors, $6 Million Man. And you liked the character as well, but it was like, this is the best birthday gift I can ever give my sister. Um, how was that when she found out that you took the role? And she must have been dumbfounded.
Well, because she was living in another state. And so I was communicating to my mom in that when I told her that I had this opportunity, and I thought it was kind of odd, people jumping off of buildings and blah, blah, blah. And she said, you have to do this because your sister's favorite show, blah, which you know. And what I found out, because I didn't get to tell her directly, so mom told her. And so what I asked my sister, now, this age, what was it like? You know, she said, I didn't believe her. I just didn't believe it. And then pretty soon I realized it was true. And she said, I was just shocked. I was so excited. And then the following year, which you may have heard me say before on something else, but the following year for her birthday, the actual first episode of the Bionic Woman series was scheduled, me having nothing to do with it, was scheduled on, and it aired on her birthday the following year. I mean, talk about synchronicity.
Yeah, you can't write that. That's fate right there. You can't write that.
And then later on, we brought her, shortly thereafter, we brought her down. Actually, it was the following year. We brought her down for her birthday, specifically from Oregon to California, and had her do a part in the episode, one of the episodes, and in the classroom where Jamie was teaching, and so she says, I was scared to death, but I got through it and I did that. And then we held just a little birthday celebration for her, which she didn't comment too much. Oh, yes, she has, but she was saying, I just couldn't believe what was happening to me. I think she was in shock by the time she went home, because here she is on the set and the crew's all gathered around and they're running a camera on her in a chair. This was after the filming of what she had to do was over. And then she was at that time getting into the guitar, but so we gave her a guitar for her birthday chair. She was sitting there, I thought she was going to cry. I said, okay, guys, we got to back. This is overload. And because she's 14, almost 14 years younger than me. So she was pretty little then. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't, she was even a teenager at the time this all started happening.
Oh, this is something where they believe superheroes are real. So even though you're her sister, seeing you on TV with all these powers, it must have been a flabbergasted moment for her because when I was a kid, like an idiot, I wanted to be Superman. So I, like a moron, jumped off my roof. I
I
was so convinced I could fly, and then I flew right into the hospital.
yeah.
And it's like you can't make that stuff up because at the end of the day, women are smarter than men no matter what. Because if a woman is on the roof, they would think about the consequence, what could happen. Guys don't think about that. We think about, oh, this is going to be awesome. Yeah, it wasn't really awesome because my parent got medical bills. I was out for a while, and it took a dumb moment like that to realize, like, yeah, I don't think I could fly at
You
all.
human, you Superman. Yeah. Yeah. I got many letters from parents such as yours when I was doing this show. Will you please tell my child that you use bags to jump onto? You can't see outside the camera. Will you put kids getting up on a chair or a balcony and then swinging on the what was it? Swinging on the curtains. Yeah, it was swinging on the curtains,
Yeah.
jumping over. Yeah, I got a lot of those letters.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. I've spoke to a lot of my guests that I've had in the past because I always talk about it with my guests. I'm friends with a lot of them, and I was telling them I was going to interview you. We all want to know one thing. What do you think if they would revamp Bionic Woman with all the technology today, with what they do in films, with all the superhero films? What would you think if they revamped a new film, a Bionic Woman? And if they would do that, obviously we see you playing a cameo in that because they do that a lot with all the films. Who would you think would be a perfect match to play the Bionic Woman, Jaime Sommers?
I don't really know. I would have to do some serious studying before I came up with an opinion like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I wanted to throw that out there because these shows, they've been revamping a lot of them. I would really love to see a Bionic Woman movie. I think it would be incredible with all the technology today.
And you keep up with the industry way more than I do. Um, who would you think would be?
I think Margot Robbie would be a great compliment to you. Margot Robbie is very well in shape. She's got the same figure that you have, beautiful, right? Intelligent. I think she's about the same height as you. I think Margot Robbie would kill that role. I would love to see Margot Robbie because I believe they have to be like around 28, between 28 and 35 to play Jaime Sommers, right? I think that was the age bracket on that. I think Margot Robbie would be the perfect complement to an iconic role. They would have to be in shape, they would have to be intelligent. I think she'd be perfect at it.
You don't necessarily have to be in shape. I take it people say, so what did you do to work out for this show? And do you work out all the time? And I know Lee was an athlete, and is that partly why you got hired? I said, I didn't even know how to play tennis at the time. And um, so when the show came into my space,
Mhm.
I to this tennis pro, I said, make me look like I know what I'm doing. And that's what I said. I don't care where the balls go. Just make me know. So he taught me to serve. And it worked really well because Richard Anderson, who was a really fine tennis player and played around the
Yeah,
world, celebrity tournaments, and he watched me on the first day when we met with the and he said, "Hey, why don't you come on the circuit with me?" And I said, "Are you kidding?" He said, "Did you watch where the balls were going, or did you?" And he said, "No," but I said, "Okay, forget it. You don't want me, I swear." But what I'm saying is that in those days, I'd drive to the mailbox if I could. I was not I wasn't into sports and all that kind of stuff, and yet my father was a semi-pro football player. Yeah, I think that was why.
that's actually really funny. Like I'm so lazy, I would have to drive to the mailbox. That's actually
You,
that I think we've all done that.
you're going to use that.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious. Like that's a great parody, like just a Bionic Woman. It's like that would be a hilarious parody. Just what the Bionic Woman is offset Just like instead of her running, like you could just do something where it's like, do, 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 and she starts running this and that, and then it cuts off like to you, like, can we go get the mail, please? Where's the golf cart? Just something funny like that. It'll be hilarious. Um, Speaking of Bionic, I actually went to the website. I love how you're giving back to your fans. Bionic 50.
It's a little store. Bionic 50 is just a little store, and it's only got a few items on it. It's got video chats, what people are ordering, kind of like you do on, Streamly or one of those other companies. And there are 4 new pictures that have not been released before. And
Nice.
so, yeah, so those are just autographs. It's not coming to a con, only you don't have to get out of bed to do it. and and then there's a script. We have printed copies of the last episode of the Bionic Woman, which is when she runs away and is trying to hide from everybody and just wants to be left alone. And eventually she finds peace inside herself with being this way, but she goes back and demands that she has the opportunity to have a real life of her own as a person as well as work for them, because it had turned into so much just work, 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 work. And so it was released as On the Run. Fans will know it as On the Run. So it's a copy of that script, the last script, and it's really nice in the package, and I signed those, and so you can find those on.
I love it. I love it. Now you've been touring also. I'm assuming you do Comic Cons and stuff like that. I have to assume you do that. When you finally get to see the fans in person, which you've been dealing with all the years, does it ever get old when you're sitting there at a table signing autographed copies Bionic Woman and the adults that were kids watching you grow up? How amazing to this day when somebody comes up to you saying, I used to revolve my life, I used to run home to make sure that I watched the show that day. Because today you can stream anything you want, right? Well, back in the day, you would actually have to run home to get to the phone call, to schedule your life, because people don't understand. Yeah, that's right, kids. Back in the day, we would have to schedule, make sure we're home. We would schedule our lives around TV shows when it was just TV. And meeting these people today that scheduled their lives around your story, has there always been moments in your life that is just a blessing seeing the impact that you've done on a lot of people over the years?
Constantly. Yeah, it's just I love it. That's what I like. People say that you get tired of people wanting. I said no, I want to hear their stories. That's what I want. It makes it fun for me, not not having people want my autograph and stuff like that. That's just the structure which has evolved in this business. So within that, though, I like hearing what people have to say and how they. One guy told me, it was so cute. He said that he would be playing with his friends, and they would go on into the night until it was whatever time, or the lights went out on their street or whatever. But the Bionic Woman would come on early, and so he would always tell them, he said, "Oh, tonight's the night," or whatever night of the week it was on, and I'm sorry, I have to go because I have to babysit my sister for my mom tonight. And he would do it just so he could go home and watch the Bionic Woman and not have to cop to his friends that he was going to see the Bionic Woman. Now that's when he was just before he got to the point where it was like, I want to go watch her because I'm in love with her, but this was young enough to be. Well, I thought that was pretty cute, pretty clever.
I love that.
So many stories. Yeah.
Oh, I can only imagine. I mean, one day if I get to know you better, because I'm really good friends with Holland, I'm going to tell Holland, I want to come over for Thanksgiving. I want to hear some stories. I want to hear the whole nine. But you know what I love? I love the fact that you won an Emmy Award for leading actress in the TV drama series. So congratulate you to that. Um, the role itself, powerful role. Speaking of powers, women always have the greatest power in the world. You have the power of giving life, producing life. Now, if you were able to choose a superpower to also have, what would you choose that you would love to have?
I would say the running, the one that I'd want from Jamie would be that, because when I was young, because I kind of was ill a little early on and made me a little bit weak. I didn't get into sports as a kid. I tried to avoid them in school and whatever, because it would just be too hard for me. Physically, it was just a little bit weaker than I should have been at that age. So I grew up, and there's times when doing the series was a huge thing. I used to say it was karma because I never worked at building my body up once I got to be an adult. And God said, okay, how about that? Try that on for size. And so I did get a lot more physical in that way after a while. But
well, think about how quick you can get to the mailbox to get your mail.
Yeah.
So guys, if you guys don't know, you can definitely check out the Bionic Woman. It's on Roku. It's also on Amazon Prime. And we are here with the star of Bionic Woman, 50-year anniversary with Lindsay Wagner. Lindsay, thank you for coming on the show. Congratulations on such an iconic career, especially when it came to the Bionic Woman.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah, let's have a good one.
Yes, ma'am. So don't go away, guys, because coming right back is Latin recording artist JimmyBoy performing his hit song, Playa, Escondida, right here on FaceTime with Todd Wharton, so stick around.
Listen up. Are you embarrassed to show your feet in public? Do you wear water shoes to the pool or wear socks to bed? Do you bury your feet in the sand when you're at the beach? Do your feet look like this? Okay, calm down. And that's why you must have Fix Your Fungal Nail. You just simply want to get rid of those gross, disgusting, embarrassing toenails. Trust me, I'm the queen of toes. Check it out. Go to fixyourfeetproducts.com and I'll see you soon.
Go to fixyourfeetproducts.com. That's fixyourfeetproducts.com.
What up, guys? This is JimmyBoy, and you're about to watch my music video, Playa, Escondida, right here on FaceTime with Todd Wharton. Go and check that out.
mirada cazando, que nadie nos descubra que estás escapándote. Pa' la playa escondida, solo tíos disfrutando la vida, bailando el ritmo del tic-tac del reloj, baby. Esta es la salida que hacemos daily. Pa' la playa escondida, solo tíos disfrutando la vida, bailando el ritmo del tic-tac del reloj, baby. Esta es la salida que hacemos daily, bebé.
So I just want to take a moment to thank my guests, Lindsay Wagner and JimmyBoy, for stopping by FaceTime with Todd Wharton. First and foremost, Lindsay, congratulations not only on your Emmy win, but for 50 years of such an iconic role of Jaime Sommers that everybody to this day welcomes in their home. I love the show. Guys, if you haven't seen The Bionic Woman, you should. You can stream it right now on Roku. It's also available on Amazon Prime. And don't forget about my man JimmyBoy, Playa, Escondida. Brother, I love the song, and I can't wait to meet you at the 2026 Governors Ball. Congratulations on that as well. Guys, I hope you loved this episode. You know I did. But like I always say at the end of the day, if you're not living a passionate life, then do this life you live. Take care, guys. I'll see you soon.